Welcome to tonight's coverage of GridVision Superspeedways from Daytona International Speedway, Human iRacing. Justin Brett alongside with us and Derbyshire producing. We apologize for the delay as we get things going for tonight's coverage in the midst of the early goings here from the Superspeedway. This is the fourth race of the campaign for points as we drive at the next-gen cars here tonight. Right now, Chad McGinley leads the single file line along the top side after starting on the outside front row. Craig Ganzik, Bobby Mantle, Mark McFadden in the top four. Faison Sheath coming off the pole in fifth. Sean Bounty, Timothy Babcock, and Michael Litterer all in the main pack. Amongst those who have lost the pack, James Self, Randy Post, and Jonathan Platt. They've already lost 5 seconds after electing to try and drop off on the apron and not keeping up with the draft of the opening lap of this race. Brian, as we currently get ourselves going for tonight's coverage in turn here, an interesting start to the season. Ganzik currently the points leader, coming in by just 1 point over Bounty. Once again, doing what he does best, points racing to start things off here when it comes to NASCAR Cup cars here from Daytona.
No, yeah, definitely Craig Ganzik coming in as the points leader, been doing fantastic this season. Of course, only 1 point over Sean Bounty. Bounty, let's see what he's able to do. Of course, I do believe he's not up in contention for the win yet. It seems like track position is just incredibly important here tonight. Of course, these next gens are incredibly difficult to maintain the draft. If you make a move, you could easily lose the draft. As you can see, that back three, the James South, Randy Post, and Jonathan Platt, I mean, didn't probably mean to lose it, but unfortunately, that's just the way this next gen is. Of course, you can fall, I think, over a half a second back. That's when you're going to be in the danger zone.
Those three try to run the bottom. Most of the field try to run the top. And keep in mind, with the most recent drafting models, the top side becoming a lot more prevalent, a lot more realistic. And that, as long as you can run the top, it does provide the opportunity to keep it safe without having the risk of someone side drafting you. Sean Bounty tried to test the bottom line. No one wanted to go to the bottom of the racetrack. Everybody's content on just being patient till lap 30.
Yeah, and of course, on lap 30, that will be when we have our stage break. Will not feature a caution, though, but of course, the top 10 will receive points, and those points, of course, are what these guys are definitely going to be going for. Of course, fuel window is, I do believe, roughly 40 or so laps. Could be, that's, of course, a guesstimation. So we should see definitely a need for green flag pit stops at some point. Of course, these guys do have one fast repair featured in this race, so we'll have to see if anybody's going to use it. It's so far so good, very clean thus far, a lot cleaner than we've seen in other races. I think a lot of these guys realize just how difficult it is to pass with this race car. It's just always been a little bit more of a difficult car to handle on these super speedways, unlike the trucks in the Xfinity, where they have just so much more suck-up potential.
Right now, these drivers, keep in mind, running 195 miles an hour. The fuel run estimate coming into tonight from some of the drivers as high as about 40 laps. So one stopper, no matter how you slice it in terms of the fuel once again. Keep in mind as well, we're hearing now that there's been a crash in the back because the driver involved in the crash has now informed everyone they have had a crash. Randy Post has managed to crash in a 3-car pack and has had to take a fast repair, no caution.
Oh, wow. That's definitely curious. I'm wondering how that happened. I mean, he's now a lap down in the 54, so he's going to probably be caught by everybody else as well. I'm wondering how do you have an accident like that? I mean, when you only have 3 cars around you, we'll definitely have to probably investigate and see exactly what happened. Of course, we take a look at the replay. And let's get to the bottom of this mystery. You see right here, he was in the middle. I think he might have gotten maybe a little bit of a bump that wasn't square, possibly from the 43 of Jonathan Platt. Right there, he gets turned into the inside wall. Big hit. Wow.
That was nowhere close to being squared to the bumper from the ThorSport spotter. And again, no caution because he was off the racing surface in the battle for second to last. We stay green, and we're down to 10 on the lead lap. Now, keep in mind, that's a conversation point with what we've seen with the triple tandem draft. That is something we may see a lot of tonight, because that is the faster way to carry momentum with the next-gen car. albeit most of the field not electing even to get close to a bumper right now, playing it safe. Most people like the triple draft.
No, I definitely think that's definitely true. I mean, we see at a lot of these plate tracks where three people is probably about the perfect number. Anytime you go to 4 or 5 or any more than that, 10, that's when you start to have more variables than you probably want to have. Of course, all these drivers have the mind of their own, but here we go. Looks like the bottom line trying to move here. I've been seeing Timothy Babcock been making that bottom line. He's been trying to make it work a lot here. Even before the broadcast began, I saw him trying to make that work. And of course, he had 3. Now he's down to 2. And it seems like 3 is that magic number.
Keep in mind, Sean Bounty went to the bottom because originally Faison Shi had scraped the outside wall. Momentum started to build up a little bit on the bottom. The checkups are actually building up top as well. And that may be a distinguishing sign to try and get some drivers to potentially move around here. You already see that now with Shia electing to go to the bottom. Never mind, he goes back up top just looking to recharge.
Yeah, definitely curious. I guess guys just testing the water, but they need to, I think they need to commit to it. I mean, to really get down there and commit. One thing we're probably going to see as well that's so prevalent in these race cars is the side draft. You're going to see if that bottom line really does get formed up and they start side drafting that top line, or the top line starts side drafting the bottom line, that's going to slow that line down insanely quick. But Chad McGinley right now sitting in the best spot. I think this is, if this stays like this, Justin, if these guys stay this cautious, this is going to all come down to pit stops. I mean, this could easily come down to who has the fastest pit stop and is able to win the race off pit road.
Keep in mind, technically, if you're thinking about the math, already coming up to the pit window with less than 15 laps time, that's how quick this race has gone so far. And most of the field already back up to the top side. Now, talking about some of the context for drivers like McGinley in the series this season, already coming off a win, 5th in the point standings after the win at Atlanta Motor Speedway and its super speedway configuration last time out. Right now, looking to try and see if he can join the point fight. He needs to pick up some ground in the title fight, though, by 16 points running up front. Going to be pivotal to do that, especially by lap 30.
Yeah, one thing that I love about this series, of course, we have all kinds of drivers that are, from other leagues that we call. And, of course, Chad McGinley is one of those drivers. He's from the Global Racing Truck Series. On Sunday about noon yesterday, they actually raced, and he has won, I do believe, 2 in a row in that series. So he has got a lot of momentum built up in his favor, and I think he's really trying to utilize that here tonight as well. Coming off a victory yesterday at Las Vegas, and then the week before he won it at Iowa. So definitely expect a lot here from that 7 machine.
Expected a lot as well from Jansek, who has been the stage point getter. He's been up at the front at almost every single stage this season. Runs in a lot of different series, especially when it comes to champion power equipment competition. He's one of the main contenders and one of its multiple-time champions in that series. That happens Tuesday nights.
Yeah, I know, 100%. He's definitely a champion. I think he's right now the reigning champion. He's going to hope that he's going to be able to keep that going, of course. We'll see how that kind of plays out for sure. Of course, Craig Ganzak sitting in that second place position. You can definitely tell he's getting fairly physical with the back bumper of Chad McGinley. That's one thing, even though these cars do not, they don't have as much, I think, ability to catch up as well as other race cars. One thing they do gain an advantage for is their ability to be able to physically push. You're able to really bash that back bumper in with these race cars, and they're able to take that hit.
Bottom line being regathered, by the way, Timothy Babcock, Michael Little. Michael Little just scraped the wall last time by and now has pushed Babcock up to side-by-side for third. Here's
Also
the problem.
car.
There's the problem you just mentioned.
Yeah, that, of course, is, I do believe, Randy Post getting ready to go a second lap down. He's going to stay up on the racetrack. Oh, no, he goes down on the apron. Now, this is not the place to go on the apron in the corner. I think he would have been safer if he had stayed on the track. But luckily, I wish he had probably stayed on the track because he had a chance to maybe get in the draft.
And unfortunately, Randy Post way gone from contention to being in said draft. As some drivers start to back it up a little bit, Bobby Mansell and Mark McFadden starting to let things roll a bit in the corner. Now keep in mind, Randy Post is somebody with some real-world racing experience on the dirt. Originally, he tried to be punny with it in that 54. It's worth mentioning before tonight. I asked, what do you do again in terms of real-world racing and what he does? He said he eats dirt. Technically, he does dirt racing, so I guess he's half right.
Yeah, he did say that a little bit earlier, and I think some people were like, "Hey, don't be so modest." You know, you do. I think he drives sprint cars, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely really cool to hear that. We got a lot of guys that are involved in real racing in this series right here, which is really cool to see and see him intermingling with the sim racers.
Bottom line backing up again, coming up to lap 23. Already quickly coming to 43 to go. Give Michael Little credit. He really wants to get that bottom line working with the title sponsor, Timothy Babcock of First Coast Fleet Services. Faison Chief is just following whatever line starts to move forward for a minute.
Yeah, that's one thing about it. That's why I say you got to commit at tracks like this, considering, I mean, it's just like being at the grocery store. You see one line get shorter than the other, you jump into that line. Of course, it takes a little bit longer. That when you jump into the other line, you gotta be willing to commit. I mean, I know that's probably a terrible metaphor, but that's just kind of what I thought about. But I do want to mention something before we get too much further. I would love to see us get some more participation in this series. So if you want to join this race of this series, the Superspeedways, I mean, that's all we run. I mean, there's a ton of people that's all they love to run, and so we'd love to see you. All you got to do is boost our Discord server. You can find all of our social media links down in the description below. We'd love to see you, that's for sure.
Indeed. Near trouble in the second pack. Randy Post just kind of hard right in front of James Self and Jonathan Platt. These two have been having some fun times. Self and Platt, including running on the apron several times already. Turned into nearly not so fun with Post turning a hard right at 170 miles an hour.
I mean, Post might be a little bit upset, possibly with Platt. I mean, Platt did turn him and gave him a bad bump. As, of course, the action is starting to intensify here in this first pack.
Well, they're all friends. I don't think they're mad. It's more so having fun. Trying to have some fun when you're 15 seconds back. The bottom line, as you said, though, Bounty seems to want some points. Now he wraps the bottom. Babcock trying to play with the gears. Sheehan stays on the bottom, but Little backs out.
I think we're coming up here now on 6 laps to go here in stage 1. Of course, no caution flag is going to fly, but here comes the bottom line finally starting to move as Sean Bounty challenges for the lead. First time we've really seen a challenge, and there goes Bounty, jumps up in front. Oh, and then, oh no, Bounty turned down into Babcock, and the caution flag does not fly. Still green flag.
Babcock spins it up the racetrack. Bounty runs on the apron, and somehow we are green still. Wow.
Man. That is unfortunate for Babcock. He is now going to go back to essentially last on the lead lap because of that incident. And just terrible. I don't know how a caution didn't trigger from that. I mean, they were wrecking.
Well, Babcock amongst those having to come to pit road because of that. And the lead pack is down to, for now, 4 cars. There's Babcock, McGinley, Mansell, Sheath, and Niansek. Bounty, despite spinning across the field, is still in the main pack with Mark McFadden. In fact, with all the damage, he's been pulled back. Here's the replay. And with under 5 to go in the stage, things got very dicey.
Oh, wow. I love the move from Bounty. I mean, Bounty was well within his right to jump up in front of McGinley, but something about the sudden movement with this race car. These cars are so aero-dependent, and whenever he did that sudden move to the top, something about the grip unloaded. Something unloaded there, and once Chad touched his rear end, he just was gone.
And in turn, the lead pack still has 6 cars in it. Michael Little lost the draft. He was the only one because of that incident to lose a draft outside of Babcock. Down to about 3 to go in the stage. Now how do you play it? Because you have 3 teammates, 1, 2, 3, up at the head of the field.
Yeah, I don't know. This is definitely curious. It's changed up quite a bit as well. I mean, Janzak lost positions because of this. Faison, though, gained some back. Of course, he started on the pole and dropped back pretty much instantaneously. And
Oh,
is
he's
now,
lost some help. Janzak on the side draft. Bounty right now trying to run the car with a bunch of hammers slamming the side of that car. Now pushing ahead, trying to look for 3rd and 4th.
I'm surprised Bounty's running as good as he is right now. Fortunately, well, not fortunately, I say Babcock, of course, has gone a lap down, but he is getting ready to be joined by, I do believe, Little. Or I think he's getting ready to get some company at least, so that's going to help him out as this pack still trying to settle it out. Bounty in danger of possibly losing the draft here.
There is the faster pair in his back pocket, but he needs to stay up front to use it. Here comes Janzak, looking to the inside. No one wants to help. He pushes McFadden up on the wall. Back on the line they go. McFadden bounces it off the wall again, coming up to 1 to go in the stage, this time by. As there goes Sheehan in the wall. McGinley gets a big push now for Mansell. They build a buffer to build up some stage points.
I'm telling you, Faison loves that wall. And just definitely got a magnet up there just drawing that 15 machine into it for some reason. Of course, McGinley, even through all of that drama, able to maintain the lead, has led the majority of the laps here. Of course, started on the outside pole. And him and Bobby Mansell, teammates in the Global Racing Truck Series as well, so no wonder to see, it's not a surprise to see them working together here.
Huge push for Mansell as he tries to build a buffer. Sheehan watches his teammates, elects not to go for the triple bump. No cutoff from McFadden. Janzak going for the setup. Janzak trying to pluck some points. Sheehan blocks him. Sheehan takes it 3 wide. Faison Sheehan takes the lead coming to the end of the stage. Craig Janzak pushes him to the stage win. The pole sitter back up front to get the most stage points. Oh, wow. Some troubles at the back. Little all over the racetrack. We stay green as that's in front of the second pack. This is to close out the stage points. Little, South Platte, and Babcock amongst the top 10. McFadden, Mansell, McGinley amongst those also getting some points, albeit with the 3 wide at the stripe for a moment.
Yeah, I love how this is looking like this is straight out of the early 2000s right now. We're starting to see that tandem draft come back. As here comes, oh, never mind. Craig Janzak jumps up in front of Bounty. Bounty going to see if he can possibly push him to the lead. Faison got the most stage points, but now quickly is dropped back into, I do believe, 5th. And through, man, these guys are getting a little bit hairy out here, but definitely trying to make it entertaining for us up here in the booth. Mark McFadden moving forward on the bottom.
Now he's got out McMantle. Bounty shuffle back out again. Pit stops expected within the next 5 to 7 laps. Randy Post moves out of the way as well. McFadden now up to the point. And even with the pit stops coming up, they are racing the most aggressive they've been. They're more aggressive than before the end of the stage. We'll see how it plays out here, coming up to halfway in this one. Pit stops around the corner, side by side, here on GridVision, the GridVision Superspeedways.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to GridVision, where we spend Mondays at a pack. Pit lane open, and pit stops underway. Already several drivers coming in for service. McGinley and Mansell both speeding. Mark McFadden also caught speeding. 3 of your leaders have been caught speeding in the pit lane. Also, Faison Chiat nearly crashed into Mansell because he wanted to pit, then backed out of the pit call as Mansell came in and nearly rear-ended him. So, in other words, your race leaders for now with still pit stops expected. James Self, Jonathan Platt, Michael Little. However, they only have about a 15-20 second cushion.
And I don't know. I think things are getting a little bit even more hairy over here as we see, of course, Timothy Babcock getting some big pushes from James South and almost got turned. Of course, Babcock trying to stay on the lead lap here. And wow. About a lot. With those penalties, this could make these guys the lead group, Justin.
This could really shake things up with how things play out here. They are gaining a lot of momentum as a result of the overcut. Bounty and Jansek are the only drivers in the pitting group already, pack essentially, because Sheath has lost the draft.
Yeah, of course, you see Bounty and Janzak right there working together. They're about 20 seconds back from James South and Jonathan Platt. So, of course, South and Platt have yet to pit. So they, of course, when they do, are probably going to, I'd say, fall behind Bounty and Janzak. So I think they'll probably be the ones that circle up to the lead, or cycle up to the lead, I should say. But this is definitely, I mean, this has been blowing my mind how things change so quickly.
And expect pit stops as well when it comes to Michael Little, of course. Randy Post as well. Timothy Babcock technically has already done his pit stop, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it to the end. So he's on a 2-stop because that situation that didn't bring a caution out before. So we'll see how it all plays out. Are they trying to start a second line, or are they just all over the racetrack? Nope, it's Platt on the apron. Here's a look at the error group as they lap McFadden.
Yeah, things have definitely been getting quite hairy out here. So here comes South and Platt coming to pit road, as well as, I do believe, Little.
Babcock did not go with them, so he keeps going, hoping for the caution. No speeding penalties. And the Toyota Camry of Platt leads them down to the lane. So we'll see how things fully cycle here. Bounty and Jansek in position to cycle to the lead. They now take the lead. There goes a mistake for Randy Post. There goes the lead to Bounty. Only a 2-car tandem. Keep in mind, on the radio just moments ago, Brian, Craig Jansek told the competitor in front of him, John Bounty, I am not getting off that back bumper of the Rebel Racing until the end of this race.
Well, that's definitely good. I'm sure that's got to be somewhat comforting to Sean Bounty, because I know, these guys have definitely had some crazy racing in their past themselves. So it's good to see them kind of working together. Of course, Mark McFadden trying to line up behind Craig Janzak as well. He's going to tag on to the back of these guys and probably help them out. Now, of course, he is a lap down. He's going to be hoping he can get that lap back. He is the lucky dog at the moment, but some big bumps coming from Craig Janzak. Turning some really good laps compared to everybody else right now as well.
Of note, James Self has just ended his race. He's out of the race after electing to put it behind the wall. Here's the downside. That leaves Jonathan Platt without a drafting partner. So there goes that respective pack we talked about. The reason being, James Self looped it on cold tires coming out of the pit lane, Brian. So
oh, wow.
No more help for the 43.
That's interesting. So that's definitely very curious to see him looping it. Let's take a look back at this.
And on top of this, Michael Little had an unsafe pit exit. There's the looping.
Oh, wow.
And he's seen at the top of the screen, Little crossed the double yellow line. You can't exit until turn 2 on iRacing.
Wow, we've only had, this is great. We probably had more penalties in this race than we've had all week. My goodness. I'd like to, maybe, I hate to say it, can we look back at South and look at the cockpit camera? I think that he was in a lower gear and might have possibly spun it because of that.
And it's a costly one of that, because if he came out with a clean exit, we're talking about potentially him and Platt being able to hook up, as well as with the help of Little. But all three having some troubles there essentially in that sequence. So let's take a look at that call you asked for, Brian. Here's the listen.
So he thought he had it. I think he thought he had it saved. He was being aggressive, trying to get off a pit road to make sure that he didn't lose too much time. But then he tried to save it, and he thought it was all collected, and then he got back on the gas again, and it was not. He had not gripped the track yet, and unfortunately, that's what spun that race car back out. He's got to be kicking himself over that right there.
He also apparently said in the midst that he couldn't see. Now, keep in mind in iRacing, you can, to some dismay, still drive through a pace car, drive through a competitor, went out of the pit box. He was inside a car and a pace car at the same time with that spin as well. So either way, the lead pack's down to 2. So, what's your favorite movie?
Well, definitely Days of Thunder here. Man, what a race we've seen here today. It has definitely had its fair share of troubles. I'm sure a lot of these drivers probably wish some sort of caution or something will come out to give them a chance. We're also seeing Bounty and Craig Ganzak coming up on some lap traffic. That could, of course, throw some wrenches in some of these situations here, as I do believe they're coming up, I think, possibly on Chad McGinley and Mantle and Timothy Babcock.
Still going to take a while, though. That's the downside. In fact, if anything, if Bounty, along with that rest of the lead group, catches up to them, they could become untouchable and make it a 2-car race with Mark McFadden just riding along in the lucky dog seat. Downside, he'll have to also fight for the lucky dog seat.
Yeah, he's getting ready to have to fight for it right now. Sean Bounty right now, 46.808. Craig Ganzak very close in that same about lap time. They're running a little bit, like a tenth or so faster than the guys ahead of them. And I think we're seeing also Timothy Babcock's falling off of Chad McGinley and Bobby Mantle. Now, this is going to act as somewhat of a bridge between Bounty and of course, that Babcock there. And, of course, so that's going to allow them to draft up a little bit better. Now, it depends on how much is Babcock in the way. They go to the top side here to get by.
they also shuffle McFadden out in turn. Yancek, good timing. Hard bump, though, nearly bubbles him. And that now pins a few more lap down. Mantle, McGinley, and Babcock all one lap down with this. Oh, and John Bounty can't clear. They're still going to fight this out to keep the lead lap on the bottom for now.
I mean, who can blame them? I mean, they don't want to be on the they don't want to be a lap down. This could complicate things. Possibly we'll see, you know, the desperation could cause an accident here. It's just crazy to see this as well. Chad McGinley led, I mean, over 20 laps, I do believe, earlier in this race.
29.
And now he's a lap down.
All it takes is one speeding penalty on your only pit stop of the race. What else can you say? The battle is on for the lucky dog, though, in case anything happens. McFadden, Mantle, Babcock, McGinley, all side by side. Part of a 2x2 as the leaders have already ditched them.
Yeah, they're just driving away. I mean, this is crazy to see how this is kind of playing out. I mean, it just seems like this two-car tandem is better than everybody right now. I mean, those guys that are side by side behind them seem to be slowing each other down. The side draft seems to be possibly, you know, hurting them. And I think we might even see just only 3 cars on the lead lap by the end of this race. I mean, Jonathan Platt next up on the docket of getting lapped. And I think it's going to come down to that.
So the inevitability of the draft catching back up comes into play for everybody except for Timothy Babcock. Looks like Babcock going to potentially hold on to the very edge of the draft with the help of McGinley. Outside that, the leaders try and run forward. Under 20 laps to go already in this race. And Faison Chiath, keep in mind, has already lost 38 seconds to the leader. He's been on his own this entire run. He's actually at risk of losing his spot to Jonathan Platt. Here's a look at the track conditions, still very hot. But that track map, let's see a very quickly approaching Jonathan Platt because he and Post have stayed hooked up this entire time. They're down on the same straightaway now.
Yeah, there they are right there. You can even see, you know, from looking at Sean Bounty, you can even see, they can see them. They know that they're getting ready to eat them. The snake's going to eat the tail here. And there's going to be probably only 2 drivers on the lead lap. It's going to come down to Sean Bounty and Craig Ganzak at the end of this race. And I think also it's going to come down to who helps them. Because you got these guys that are a lap down right behind them that are all fighting for position as well. So there's still a lot of variables. There's still a lot of things that could go wrong here. And Craig Ganzak and Bounty could be caught right up in the mess.
This could get very wild. Of note, Chiath has already lost that set spot, you see. Yeah, it's caught up with the draft, though. So, expect things to get wild again for the Lucky Dog in the next moment or so. A lead pack featuring 6 cars, only 2 in the lead lap. Going to 15 laps to go this time by. Quite happy with this for tonight's coverage. GridVision Superspeedways presented by First Coast Fleet Services. Still have Talladega next with the Gen 6, followed by Daytona with the trucks. Grand National for Talladega, Atlanta for these Cup cars in the next set of races once the next 4 weeks. And it's been an interesting first third of the season, dictated by these 2 up front, the most consistent of the 2 most of the weeks so far.
No, 100%. I mean, of course, they are 1-2 in the points for a reason. I mean, they're only separated by 1 point. I think this race could very well change that. If Bounty wins, of course, I think he's going to be the points leader. But maybe not, though, considering Craig Ganzak did do fairly good, I'd say, in the stage. But this is going to come down to the wire when it comes to this season. And I can't wait to see what next week holds. I mean, those Gen 6 cars at Talladega, I mean, we've seen those Gen 6 cars at Atlanta, and that was a ball. It was a ball to call. And I think it's going to be fun as well at Talladega.
Down to 14 to go, and this lead pack about to have a ball of a time to have to roll through more cars. The entire field is about to be compressed. There's the push from Yancek, Jonathan Platt, Faison Chiath, Randy Post just up the road. Communication going to have to be critical here on how they approach those three cars. The speed difference right now up to 5 miles an hour down the straights.
I just got to give a lot of credit to Craig Ganzak with how great he's pushing Sean Bounty. I mean, he has been, when he said, I'm going to be connected to your back bumper, he meant it. He has been connected to that race car. I mean, I'm surprised. I know NASCAR in real life does not like you to be connected the whole lap, but Craig Ganzak has been doing that.
I was about to say, if you have experience with this car, there's actually a good system to it. Let off in the corners just enough to where you let the temperatures drop, since there's no tape, then push the bumper for the whole backstretch. Get off the bumper a little bit for the corner, line it up to be back on the bumper.
Oh.
Is free. She blocks to try and hold on to the lead lap. Not the good use of bumpers as the leaders try and lap. Bounty now gets side drafted on both sides. 3 wide as Randy Post gets bumped.
This is looking like this could go
Wow.
badly.
This is all to maintain the lead lap. Sheehan being very brave. And now they're blocking with Post and Platt. Platt
Posting at a wall. Oh my goodness, this has gotten absolutely bonkers right now. I do believe the 90 or 89 of Bobby Mantle down on the apron, he saves it.
We stay green. More contact to the wall for McFadden and Platt. And now we have just 2 on the lead lap. Bounty and Jancek. Sheath in the lucky dog spot. And things are about to get very crazy here, likely. Not just for the fact you have 2 cars for the win. You have the whole field looking to unlap themselves in case everyone else makes a mistake now with 11 to go.
Yeah, this is absolutely crazy. I mean, I thought Sean Bounty and Craig Ganzak were going to get split up, and I think that's what Bounty probably wanted. He wanted to get kind of away from Ganzak. That way, Ganzak would have a less of a chance at possibly making a run for the lead. But Faison, wonder who he's going to go with if Ganzak moves out. And it looks like a 3-car breakaway here for a moment.
Timothy Babcock in the grass from 5th position, spun around by Mark McFadden. Remember, he likely needed gas towards the end of this race. Now he has no help with 10 laps to go. How do they play this out? Let's take a look. Again, no caution. This was below the apron. And door open. Door open. Tried to shut it. Someone's foot was already in the door.
Yeah, you really can't blame Mark McFadden there. I mean, he didn't really come up on him. I mean, he stayed on that yellow line down at the bottom, and unfortunately, Babcock tried to close the door somebody was already standing in the door. Like you said, the foot was already there, and it's unfortunate. Babcock, I'd say, almost turned himself there in a lot of ways.
10 to go. We'll take a quick break. Down to the final stretch here from Daytona.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Final 5 laps of GridVision Superspeedways from Daytona. Still 2 cars in the lead lap. Jonathan Platt in Lucky Dog spot. Timothy Babcock looking to see if he can hold on to being 1 lap down. Lots of positions still on the line, even with them not in the lead lap. McGinley, Mantle, Shia trying to see if they can at least get up to Platt to get as high as 3rd here. Outside of that, it could get interesting on who determines the race winner here. Is it going to be Bounty or Yancek, as here comes the pack?
Yeah, this is definitely getting a little bit interesting. Ooh, 4 wide.
How are we still green? 4 wide with Sheath under the yellow line. And there they go. The teammates collide.
Oh.
McGinley and Mantle. Caution flag is out. And it comes with under 5 laps to go.
Wow. We had so many accidents that probably could have caused a caution earlier in this race. But we had one with, of course, less than 5 laps to go. Bobby Mantle getting turned into the outside wall there. Of course, this is also going to give someone their lap back. Now, did Jonathan Platt get a 0x or anything like that that could disqualify him from getting that lap back?
Meatball flag for McGinley, meatball flag for McFadden, meatball flag for Mantle. Who gets their lap back's the huge question mark.
100%.
Better yet, who takes a wave? Let's take a look. 4 wide is not great at Daytona.
Yeah, you can do this at Talladega, but you do not rarely you rarely get away with it here. And look at McFadden, just nothing he could have did there. Just was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And again, Babcock stayed on the yellow line on the racing surface. That's his prerogative as a lap car. It's the leader's job to pass him. Better yet,
unfortunate.
Where would Babcock go? They're already 2x2, offset off the bottom and the top.
Yeah, I don't think Babcock did anything wrong. I mean, he just kind of was the spark to the powder keg there. Taking another look back at it. And look at that 4 wide once again. And right there, you see Mantle and McGinley. Those guys are teammates. They were racing each other hard. You know, oh, wow. Look at when McGinley came back onto the racetrack. My goodness.
That was Babcock amongst those, yeah. But looking towards overtime here. Only 2 on the lead lap, Bounty and Yancek. Jonathan Platt, it looks like, is in the lucky dog spot. He did not pick up any contact, so he gets the lucky dog in the wave. Amongst those pinned now, Faison Sheath is now in 4th, and everybody else on their lap cycle just had to come down and pit.
Yeah, it makes sense that Sean Bounty and Craig Ganzak would stay out here. I don't blame them at all. I mean, limit the amount of people that you have to compete with. I mean, this is a textbook. I mean, of course, tires don't matter that much at this racetrack, and you don't need gas. So why would you come in? You might as well limit the amount of people you're going to have to race. Of course, Platt. Let's see what he does. He's now back on the lead lap. He's probably going to be happy. Of course, Platt earlier in this race had lost the draft. Now, of course, he's back in contention.
Downside is he has to pass basically majority of the lap cars, believe, depending on how this plays out in the order. He has to come down this time, of course, to top off or take whatever service he can. But at the same time, you basically cycle towards the back, believe, for this, even with the Lucky Dog.
No, yeah, he definitely does. He'll have an EOL starting out here. So he's going to definitely have a disadvantage compared to Bounty and Ganzak. And for it being a 2-lap shootout, that's not a whole lot of time to get moving and get up there to battle. But luckily, Daytona, I mean, runs come out of nowhere. We'll see what he's able to do. Maybe he has a friend that he could possibly work with that's not on the same lap with him.
So, once again, when it comes to green-white checkers on iRacing, white flag, race ends from there. If we get a caution before the white flag, we'll re-rack them and stack them to round of attempts. If we get a caution flag before the white flag on the last attempt, the race will end under yellow. So a few more drivers cycling towards the back. Randy Post electing to come down to the 1-to-go signal this time. As Platt catches up to the field, 3 cars with a chance to win it on the first GWC. Sean Bounty, Craig Jancek, and Jonathan Platt. 26 laps led for Bounty. 1 each for Jancek and Platt. And the drivers who led laps outside of that are all pinned a lap down. They need another caution that doesn't involve them, obviously, to have a shot here at getting back in the lead lap. The tough part about how things line up here, you have the lap cars as mentioned in row 2 and 3. We'll see if Platt cycled towards the bottom of the top here, and it looks like Platt will have to start on the bottom in row 6, even with no cars on the top with them.
So that's curious to see how he's going to handle that. Of course, I would assume he would want to jump up to the top and try to draft his way up there to Babcock, but that's a long way, I think, to try to draft up to. We'll have to see how this plays out for him. He's definitely going to be at a huge disadvantage. Now, he does have an opportunity, though, Justin. 3 green-white checkers. So if something else happens, he could possibly get a little bit further forward.
This could get very nerve-wracking at the next moment or so. That's an understatement, if anything. So we'll see how this goes with Bounty in control with Jancek alongside. Bounty, or rather, Platt does have Randy Post to help, and they're already slamming on the top.
Well, that's not good.
Not too much help on the top in the first place for Jancek. This could be trouble if he can't get a run or get to the bottom to set up for the win.
That's definitely a great point.
Green, green, green. 2 laps to go. First green-white checkered underway. Jancek getting a better run to the flag, but Bounty has all the help. McKinley goes all the way to the top. It's 3 wide, offset behind. Faison Shia trying to push whoever's in front of him. In this case, it's Bounty.
I'm shocked that Craig Ganzak has been able to stay right where he's at right now. Babcock just did not get going at all. And unfortunately, still, even with that impressive of a run there from Ganzak, I think he's still going to fall short. He has to fall behind Faison here. He jumps up in front of McFadden.
Here we go. Platt is 3 wide top. He leans on McFadden. A block down from the 3. 2 by 2, a couple rows deep. If we take the white flag, the race is to the checkered. Clean run up to the tri-oval. 1 to go from Daytona. The 1 to go taken once more here in GridVision Superspeedways. Bounty trying to find a way to hold on. Jancek needs help. Platt getting a lot of help in the second pack.
Faison, oh, Faison turns Boundy into the outside wall. And, of course, the green flag is still out. Craig Yanzak right now in the best position as Faison, lap down car, turns Boundy on the last lap as we enter turn 3.
Yanzak, the last to survive, coming to the checker flag. He holds on to win a wacky race at Daytona. Faison Chiat still has a full lap to race as Timothy Babcock crashes into the wall.
My goodness.
Platt still comes out in second, and what was Chiat thinking?
I have no clue. This is definitely got to be just heartbreaking for the 34 of Boundy. I mean, I just don't see why Chiat was pushing so hard. Had nothing to gain by doing that.
And not only that, offset, watch out of 2.
I mean, if that was going to happen, I would have suspected it would have happened when Yanzak was pushing the 15. But that would have been a good excuse, but I don't think that was what exactly happened here. You know, a lot of times don't push the pusher is kind of a golden rule when it comes to these plate races, but that's not what was happening there. But Craig Yanzak, your winner.
Not the way he expected this to end, or anybody in that matter. But Craig Yanzak picks up his first win in the series. After running so well at all the stages, he finally takes a checkered flag for himself. Studio 3 machine burns it down. Let's take a look at the unofficial race results. Again, keyword unofficial. Yanzak over Platt, Boundy, and Chiat. A lap down, Mark McFadden with Chad McGinley. Bobby Manso a lap down as well. 2 laps down, Timothy Babcock. Randy Post finished 4 laps down in 9th. DNFs for Little and Self. That's a look top to bottom at your unofficial race results. And a lot to discuss when it comes to the drivers here in the next moment or so. We'll see those thoughts in just the next moment or so, Brian, as these drivers make their way to the green room. Quick thought. In fact, let's get the thought from Sean Bounty. What happened?
Honestly, I don't have any thoughts. All I know is the lap car behind me was driving drunk and hooked me. That's really all I could say.
Well, it's still a top 3 finish. It's still a good position for the points battle. Your thoughts on the title fight, I guess, in the positive?
I've had a really lousy month, and it's one of those nail on the coffin moments. I had a really unfortunate and paling in comparison to a death in the family. This is trivial. So this is behind me already.
I'm so sorry to hear that, Sean. Sorry,
That's all right.
Well, on that note, thank you very much for the time, Sean.
Thank you very much, guys, for being here. It was a fun race.
Sean Boundy comes away in 3rd. Second spot went to Jonathan Platt. Get his words the next moment or so. He's with Brian.
John Platt, definitely a good run for you. I know for the majority of the race, you kind of were, outside the draft. Really didn't have much you could really do, but in a caution kind of came out late that gave you the ability to at least get back on the lead lap. You still had to fight to get that lap back, though. Walk us through kind of, how kind of that golden ray of sunshine came down to give you that lap back and how you fought to get it.
Well, oh, what a race, huh? As far as the fighting for it, I know I had to put myself in a position to where I'd be the first car 1 lap down. It's about the only chance that I had. Made a couple moves. Tried stalling the leaders there once they got to me. Had to make a couple moves. Luckily, it kind of worked out in my favor, and then that happened.
Yeah, for sure. But gave you the ability to finish in second place, and of course there was a little bit of funny business there towards the end on the last lap, and you kind of were able to get second, but still a great run for you either way. It could have went, either way really. I mean, but still, what a eventful night it has been. I mean, what were your thoughts when you were kind of outside of the draft? Do you think there's no hope here for me?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've never driven this car until today, until we loaded into this session. I didn't realize that you lost the draft so easily. I was leading the bottom lane there, and I didn't really feel like it was necessary for me to be up there messing around with them guys. Like, I was trying to still feel the car out and figure it out, and dropped to the bottom there in the back stretch, let everybody go by, and didn't realize that, oh crap, everybody's gonna leave me now. So live and you learn there. Stuff you gotta learn once you start driving these things. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I hear you. That's the one thing.
It was long.
I know you haven't been here for like, what was it, 2 years? And you said at Gen 6 was kind of like, okay, this is something I can get behind. Yeah, this car is much different. It is for, you get about a half a second back from the pack. You've lost the draft, essentially. And the Gen 6, well, and the trucks and the Xfinity is not like that. You could be about a second back and still be able to catch back up. So that had to be kind of a surprise for you.
Yeah, I mean, it made for a pretty boring race. We were just back there kind of bobbing and weaving, having fun. So lucky to finish P2.
Well, next week we go back to your comfort zone, of course. The Gen 6s at Talladega. How you feeling about that? You excited?
So last week when you interviewed me, you said the Gen 6 was at Talladega, and I didn't know it was this one. I'm gonna write that one down.
I didn't realize it was this week as well. This is kind of of course, our first race of the season was the next gens at Daytona. And unfortunately, we had to make that a test race, and we put that race this week, right tonight. And so next week we are going to Talladega in the Gen 6.
Well, perfect. I'm going to win that son of a bitch, like I told you last week. I mean, 2 finishes of P2 in a row, and we're going to head to the Gen 6, and we're going to go win that son of a gun. So it should be fun. Hopefully, we get to have a good race and not such a boring one. Hopefully, a lot more people show up and make it fun for you guys. I do need to shout out one thing. I need to thank Case Galvin, Swinging Hog Incorporated. Besides that, thank you guys for doing what you do. Austin for the league. Everything here. It was fun, guys.
All right. Well, thank you, Jonathan. And hopefully, we'll see you. Can't wait to see you win it. We're going to hold it to you.
Yes, sir. I'm going to do it.
Jonathan Platt coming away second tonight. First went to Craig Yancek. Your thoughts on tonight, Craig?
There's not much to open with besides sincere apologies to Sean Boundy for the literal assassination that just happened to him. You don't ever want to win anything when tomfoolery is really the story that's going to be taken away from it. And, that's, despite that I do, get the honor of winning in the GridVision Superspeedway series. It doesn't feel like it. For whatever reason, Timothy Babcock has no interest in associating with me, so much so that even in the group chat, he literally called the shot and said, I wonder if, I'm not pushing him on the restart. I know I'm not pushing him. And that's cool. I don't mind being public enemy number 1, I guess, and taking that off the shoulder. But as the league sponsor, I would think there would be a little bit more maturity coming out of that camp. So we'll continue to build forward and deal with our Ross Chastain role for the league. I have no problem with that. We'll carry on forward. I guess the real reward of the night was knowing how to get down to pit speed. If everybody's going to get a 40-second hold for literally not knowing how to use the brake pedal, I don't know. My mind is in 76 places on this one, and none of them are really all that. Even though taking the win is paramount.
On that note, then, well, tomorrow's champion equipment racing at IRP. Your thoughts on going back to IRP?
I do love IRP. It was honestly my most hated place on the service, and now it's one of my most loved. you can do some really fun things with IRP when it comes to how you attack the track. And qualifying is going to be really important, as well as getting tire stat right, because passing will be a nightmare. But we'll be able to hopefully bring Studio 3 Chevrolet products back into victory lane twice in 1 week would be really, really cool, Justin.
Well, on that note, Craig, thank you very much for your time. Any shout outs you want to give here?
Yeah, huge shout out to you guys at GridVision. Top tier stuff. Yourself, Justin, Brian, Austin in the booth. Sorry he couldn't be on track. Having to take over the important and administrative role. Definitely a great job by him getting that done for us. And thanks to everybody that shows up every week on track. It really is a really fun idea that you guys at GridVision have put together here, and I'm glad to be able to execute it a little bit here. Truly and wholeheartedly will start and close the same way. Thanks to Sean Bounty, man. I hate what just happened so much. I really can't even begin to put words to it. And I don't know. Just happy to be here, and I'll show up every single week as long as it goes on. So thanks to you guys most importantly, and once again, at GridVision.
Once again, that's Craig Yancek. Coming away with the victory tonight. I'd like to thank him, Jonathan Platt, and Sean Bounty for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage here on GridVision. And now, of note, during the second place interview, I had a discussion with Sean Bounty after the responses previously during the third place interview. To put it simply, for the broadcast perspective, our thoughts currently with Sean Bounty and his family entering tonight in the current situation there, as there is a lot to discuss, but not in the context of on the air. But in turn, Brian, you have to feel for the finish. Greg even said it himself, even with the first win, it doesn't feel like a win, unfortunately, for him.
No, it definitely seemed like this was a very, very controversial race in general, and a controversial finish. And it's definitely heartbreaking for Sean. I mean, in both ways, for whatever's going on personally with him, and also, just not being able to get that victory. I mean, that could have been a little bit of a comfort for whatever he's going on, or what's going on with him. Not sure exactly. Just a lot of controversy here, and I hopefully, a lot of this doesn't bleed over into the other series. We got Champion coming up next week, so hopefully, or tomorrow, and we also got Talladega in the Gen 6s. At least John Platt seemed like he was very confident and optimistic about that race, so I'm going to choose to be confident and optimistic with him.
Well, on that note then, remind you that several series are continuing on throughout the week as well here on GridVision. On top of the Superspeedways series, you have on Tuesday Champion. We talked about it with Craig Yancek. It was on the positive end on him, at least, for IRP. Then on Thursday, SSRL Truck Series competition. That series drawing a lot of intrigue and interest, especially with the cup numbers, as well as the wait list continuing to expand with demand, it seems. Then you have Friday, NIS Open, Homestead Miami Speedway. Then on Saturday, Majors back in action, 9 p.m. Eastern, the set start time for the Holly Farms 400, and Homestead Double Dose on Sunday, GRL and RGR. Catch that all here on GridVision. On that note, though, once again, we'd like to thank you for tuning in for tonight's action of GridVision Superspeedways, where we spend Mondays in a pack. We spent Monday in a pack here today. Brian Britt, Austin Jarby, Shar producing for them, as well as for the rest of our crew. I'm Joseph Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You're watching the action from Daytona here on iRacing.